Hey everybody! So I'm coming to you right now from Tower Hill State Park. And the hill part of this is evident. I've got a steep hill I've headed up and I've still got more to go. But this is a little bit outside of Spring Green, Wisconsin. It sits alongside the Wisconsin River. So this is one of the smallest state parks in the whole system, but it's also one of the most historically significant. So many of you know that Wisconsin is known as the Badger State. And when you think of badgers, you're probably thinking of Bucky Badger, the mascot of the University of Wisconsin. But what most of you probably don't know is that mascot didn't come from an animal, but from this part of the state. So the first settlers of European descent who came to this area were lead miners. So the lead miners would come to the hills around here where the lead was and dig their tunnels in to get the lead out. But because there weren't any cities or other things around here, they would often sleep in those tunnels that they dug. Therefore, they acquired the nickname Badgers because, well, that's how badgers live too. So, hey, that's actually a nickname about miners, not an animal. That mining background is reflected not just in the nickname, but also in the state flag. If you take a look at it, the people who are standing in the middle, one of them is a sailor, the other is, you guessed it, a miner. So in 1830, the Green Bay businessman Daniel Whitney was traveling along the Wisconsin River, which you can see behind me. When he saw the bluffs that I'm standing on right now, he thought that would be the perfect place to make shot, the kind that goes into rifles and things like that. Now, because the way they made it back then was by using gravity, and you need a long distance to drop things. Shot tower looked like back in the day. There was the smelter house up top with a long shaft running down from it down into the cliff. So the process of making shot is pretty straightforward. First of all, they'd get the lead from the miners. They'd melt it down into bars called pigs. You can see a couple of those right behind me. And they'd bring them up to this smelter house, and right here they'd melt them in that pot. So once that lead was all melted and liquid, they would take it over here to the shaft, and then they'd go ahead and pour it into ladles that had different size holes in them. The bigger the hole, the bigger the shot. And at that point, the lead would fall in those shapes down a long way and form into round balls as they fell. So small pieces of shot only had to fall about 60 feet. So there were some people right here in what was known as the lower house who would collect the shot that would fall from that spot right up above. Now the biggest pieces of shot had to fall 120 feet. To catch those, you go down here to the bottom of the cliff where they carved out this tunnel that went in and went up to meet the shaft. So even though this shot tower was only in operation for about 30 years, it ended around 1860 when economic problems with the Civil War started coming up. It had a huge influence on developing this entire area. In order to bring the lead in and get the shot out, they had to build roads. So once the roads were in place, other people started using those as well. More settlers came in, more towns got developed. The nearby town of Spring Green, where Frank Lloyd Wright grew up and did a lot of his work, might never existed if it hadn't been for this shot tower in the first place. So the Tower Hill Shot Tower operation shows how much valuable a little extra work at refining something goes. The lead miners had the lead, but it sold for much more and was much more valuable once it got converted into shot after the work they did here. In a similar way, you right now, by learning and going through your education, are in the process of refining yourself. You've got the raw materials, you've got passion, you've got drive, you've got talents. But with the extra work of channeling that and learning how to learn things and making yourself better at things, you too become more valuable. you too can do more things and have those raw materials go further than they could have any other way. So today's challenge is to think about how you're doing at the process of refining yourself and making yourself better.
Right now in your classes, please discuss the following questions. What is one area you're working at becoming better at? And how will becoming better than you are right now help you have a better future? All right, have a great one.